It is a very suspenseful, profound murder mystery memory play. I think that's the best way I can describe it.
Sure. The show is a fictional playwright who's returning to Ohio State, her alma mater, to revisit her past there when she was a student and tell us about her time. And a mystery unravels, suspenseful drama with deception and, in fact, murder. And we learn about her experience and, indeed, what happened to her there. And you'll have to come see who did it.
You're on the edge of your seat. You're moved. And even though it's being told with time not being a linear thing, you're still, you I don't think there will ever be a moment where the audience catches up to us. They're going to have to be leaning in. And even if you think you know what's going to happen by the end, you're still stunned and breathless by the end. And at the same time, you're being challenged to think about how destructive systemic racism is. It's a profound, profound piece. It feels like kismet, It feels like, the fact that we finally were able to get the show produced. Adrienne's finally getting her Broadway debut, and once we were told we were going to the James Earl Jones Theatre, we were like, well, this was written in the stars. This was supposed to happen this way. And Kenny and I feel a deep responsibility to make sure that this is the best production that it can possibly be, that as many people see it as possible, to make sure that we're really shining a spotlight on Adrienne and Adrienne's work. And I hope when people leave the theater, they then run out and read all about her and all her other plays and discover her and her genius.
I want audiences to experience Adrienne Kennedy's unique voice as a playwright. This is her Broadway debut, long overdue Broadway debut. She's 91 years old, and she's finally having one of her plays on Broadway, which is a huge deal. And so I want audiences to know her name and go and read other plays of hers. But I also want them to look at their own history and their own college experience, if they were lucky enough to have one, and their own interaction with racism, and consider what role they might have played in a similar experience.
And I want the world to know Adrienne Kennedy, so I want to do my part. And when I first came back, I did Top Dog Underdog for Broadway, and I feel like Top Dog Underdog and Ohio State Murders are in dialogue with each other. I think they both explore how you use your time, what's our responsibility to each other, the depth of racism. I first did this play last summer when we did a virtual production of it with Audra McDonald and another group of actors. And I was so impressed with Mrs. Kennedy's skill set and how the poetry moved and how the impact of her story hit me, not while I was watching it, but long after it was over. Long after it was over, I'm still thinking, why am I thinking about this play? And so I promised her, I said, you've never had a Broadway play, and you've wanted a Broadway play since you was 15. Since you were 15, you've been writing since you were 8, and you're 90 years old now. I want to be a part of telling your story, telling this story on Broadway with you. And she said, oh my God, Kenny. And to get Audra to agree to do this, and I'm bow down to Audra McDonald, because she is the greatness that she is. And Adrienne Kennedy is the great woman that she is, the great artist that she is. And I feel blessed. I feel lucky. I feel fortunate. I feel a huge sense of responsibility to deliver this play in the new James Earl Jones Theatre. I directed 3 plays in that theater when it was the Court Theater, and had a lot of success there. But the energy feels different in the space now. The sense of responsibility for an artist feels different to me now. So I do feel I feel I have to deliver, and I feel I'm up to it, and I want to deliver something that will be worthy of the ancestors, even the ancestors, even those who are still with us. Like I sit down once a month or so and talk with Harry Belafonte, who was a it didn't get better than that. I was in the room with Sidney Poitier. I've been in the room with Asa Davis and Ruby Dee, and so I feel like this production honors all those specific African Americans that have come before me. And yesterday when we unveiled the new Lena Horne Theater, I burst into tears. And I'm a member of a group called Black Theater United, and a lot of the work we're doing is to make it easier for artists, specifically African American artists, who come up behind us to tell their stories. So I think this is a part of that, like us telling Adrienne's story, and people watching me and Audra and Mr. and Abby and Bryce work on this, they'll have more confidence and courage to know that their stories too belong on the highest stage.
We obviously have a real issue with accessibility in our business, and TDF and others are working hard to help correct this issue. We can't have stories for all if not all of us can attend those stories. So I think it's incredibly important that we allow space in our theaters for people who can't afford the ticket price and shouldn't have to. And that crosses race, income, even geography. Some people have to travel long ways to see a show on Broadway. So I'm super excited about the things that we're beginning to do in our community to tackle that issue, but we have a long way to go.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime, for real, historical moment. So here I am. I feel like I come from the South, and when I started out in theater, I was in high school, but we weren't allowed. This was the time of the first part of integration, so we weren't allowed to be anything but slaves, enslaved people, or servants. And in my lifetime, to come from that to being on Broadway in the James Earl Jones Theatre in a play by Adrienne Kennedy, I can't think of any other phenomenon that would allow this kind of experience in such a short time but theater. It's like Suzanne is a young person. She's 19. And there's so much that we go through as young people that's kind of not given its due in terms of the trauma that we have and who we do or do not have to talk to. So I think that they will directly relate to her because there's a peer-to-peer experience that involves differences and how you are accepted or rejected based on your difference. So this is ongoing. Well, I went to one of the first integrated schools in my hometown, and it was a small Catholic school, and it was also during the time of the Civil Rights Movement. So I spent a portion of that time in jail because the whole town went to jail behind sit-in demonstrations. And so it was a time of stress, a time of growth. We had bomb scares at our school, all kinds of things, went on. So I guess the biggest scandal in my mind was my feeling that because I was in a Catholic school, that it was a safe place, but to understand that the mindset of racism is pervasive and it affects all of us in one way or another. I feel that this play is a wonderful invitation to experience feeling. I think if we allow ourselves to listen and just rest our minds for a moment without all that feedback and commentary, if we just listen, then we get to feel how another person feels, and from that, the seeds of empathy begin to grow. And then our humanness is what we find delightful and informative.
People just walk out and just want to spend time with someone that's different than they are. So if you're a 60-year-old like I am, spend some time with a 5-year-old. If you're black, spend some time with a white person. If you're a man, spend time with a woman. If you're gay, spend time with a transgender. You know, it's like, and all the difference of the world, that's our beauty. And all we have to do is, like a kindergartner, is like be kind to each other and be respectful of each other, but we also can learn from each other. That's all I want.
Come see Ohio State Murders and go to TDF to get your tickets. It's the best way to do it.